Well, this is super funny. Republican Senator Rick Scott, you might remember during the State of the Union, Biden called out the fact that there has been a plan put forward by a Republican that would sunset all federal legislation after 5 years if it was not reauthorized. So every 5 years, crucial programs like Medicare, Social Security, etc., would be threatened. And we've seen whenever it is incumbent upon the government to make a decision like that, oftentimes these things are threatened and do come under fire. So that's why we want these just to be absolutely untouchable in a sense. And so that caused a bunch of anger within the GOP. You remember Marjorie Greene standing up saying liar whenever Biden called that out, even though he was absolutely being honest there. And then Rick Scott has been under fire a lot for this plan that again would sunset all federal, something he put forward. It was called the Rescue America Plan, that would sunset all federal legislation after 5 years. And there was no specification that Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid would not be touched. Well, now he has changed on his website that particular item because of all of this, which in the eyes of Biden is a success. He, through calling out the GOP, is actively getting them to change their position publicly on these issues and commit to not touching Medicare and Social Security. Kudos. This is the White House press secretary talking about this.
The last question is about Rick Scott. As you saw, he edited his policy plan on sunsetting federal programs after 5 years to say it now exempts Social Security and Medicare. He says to the president, to Democratic and Republican leaders, that it was never intended to refer to Social Security and Medicare. And the White House is viewed as that end this conversation. Is the discussion over this issue done?
What do you think? So I thought you would ask this question, so I have a couple of things to say to the senator. So I'll first say this, that the president congratulates Senator Scott on joining the post-State of the Union red wave, as we have seen from Republicans, acknowledging that they are, in fact, been attempting to put Medicare and Social Security on the chopping block, because that's what they are actually saying, that they were indeed attempting to do that. So for the past year, and we have the facts, the past year he has explained the absence of an exception by saying, if it's worth keeping, we're going to keep it. But make no mistake, his true colors are undeniable and on the record. They have been speaking at both sides of their mouths here. True. That's what Republicans in the Senate and Congress more broadly have been doing. Cutting Medicaid and Social Security benefits is a longstanding passion of Senator Scott's, as it is for a majority of the House Republicans who comprise the Republican Study Committee and many of his Senate colleagues, ranging from John Thune and to Ron Johnson.
Absolutely correct. This has been one of the most, and I just mean in a purely optical way, one of the most successful political moments of kind of Republican versus Democrat clashes, and Biden being involved in it. And he's handled this one a lot better. Whoever behind the scenes came up with the idea, him or whoever it was, to include that in the speech and then afterwards make it a constant talking point was absolutely correct to do so. And I'm getting pulled up here, the change on the website, as you can see, Rescue America Plan. And it says, as we had previously read, all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years with specific exceptions. Oh, interesting edit, Sir Rick Scott. Of Social Security, Medicare, National Security, veterans benefits, and other essential services. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. Note to President Biden, Senator Schumer, and Senator McConnell. As you know, this was never intended to apply to Social Security, Medicare, or the U.S. Navy. So you can say that, but that's not accurate. When you say and get pressed on it and you don't clarify multiple times that all federal legislation would sunset every 5 years, and then the only response that you do have is, if it's worth keeping, then we'll keep it. Yeah, but see, whenever something's threatened, oftentimes, all of a sudden, many within the Republican Party have a different stance than the one they had publicly portrayed. And when asked previously by someone in my private life how this would actually work, do you actually think Republicans, that's so politically damaging, would cut Medicare and Social Security, would let them sunset, what would happen is it wouldn't be, hey, we're going to cut Medicare and Social Security, hoorah, vote for us in 2024. It would be 5 years comes around, or whatever discussion about Medicare, Social Security, and all of a sudden we start hearing about their better plan. It's better than Medicare and Social Security because it's partially privatized, and it's going to be a much better plan, similar to Trump's incredible infrastructure plan that we never got, and incredible healthcare plan that was going to cover everyone. And then they'll say, but we have to get rid of Medicare and Social Security, and it's sunsetting. So, and then we would never get that better plan, or they would have a much worse plan to replace it. And that's what we almost saw with the ACA, the push for Trump's better healthcare plan without an actual plan. And that's what was justifying the cuts to the ACA. And there was damage on that front. And so we could have seen the ACA, all of the lives impacted by the Affordable Care Act, be hurt significantly, and then a promise of a better healthcare plan to replace it that never happens. So the destruction of the current plan without an actual serious proposal of a better one is kind of the way this would go down in my mind. Or they would replace it with a heavily privatized, much decreased benefits one, and this would be their moment to do that with some justification. So I do think it's serious to call this out, and the way that Biden, his administration, has handled this has been pretty dang good. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.